your opportunity for your keynote address.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak as a keynote speaker here. I am still a student, not an experienced teacher, so I like to ask everyone to bear with my problems that I might face in terms of presenting now. Okay, so next slide please. So my topic is on promoting quality education for the academic students. I'm working in a school where there are till 10th grade students, and according to that schooling, I did some things and made some research about how to promote the quality there. Next slide, please. So for a teacher, they must make sure that the students have the capacity to have the ability to self-control. Most of the time, the students cannot have their self-control, but in that term, a teacher must have that quality that that teacher has the self-control in himself or herself. So if every student actually takes their teacher as an idol, and if that teacher is the favorite one, that they notice each and every move of the teacher. So if they can see that the teacher has the self-control in himself or herself, they follow that. After that, self-sufficiency. The teacher has to be very sufficient in his or her knowledge first, and after that, the students will acquire that thing into themselves, that they can also be self-sufficient for themselves. The teacher has to promote their ability to grow the confidence into themselves. After that, self-confidence. So one by one, the same thing comes, the confidence level. Every teacher, when they talk to their students, they have to be very confident on their way of explaining each and every area of life, every area of the topics they are going to teach to the students. So in that case, the confidence level has to be very high within the teachers as well. After that, self-motivation. We like to motivate everyone, but do we know that if we are actually motivated by ourselves, at the end of the day, every person becomes very much depressed, and in terms of their own life. They need also self-motivations. So if we initiate ourselves to understand how to self-motivate ourselves, and then we can explain that to the students, they will understand that thing much better. So these are the 4 A's that a teacher must acquire first, and after that they should explain to the students. Moving on to the next slide. True education. As I told before, I am also a student. I'm doing my master's, and there one of my teachers said, teaching is the only profession where someone delivers selflessly. So in this profession, a teacher intends to deliver their speech selflessly. Whatever they know, they never think of that I will consume my lecture to a limit. They used to explain things limitlessly. So they should have the release capacity. After that, develops analytical abilities. Before many of our ma'ams and teachers have already explained about the analytical ability, the cognitive ability. Students should be initiated to think. They should be motivated to think cognitively, think beyond their limit, and they should be appreciated in every other way. They explain in any answers of any questions. After that, the confidence, as I already said, the willpower, goal-setting competencies. Every student should be motivated to stick on their goals. Even if they change their goals, that should be stick to their goals. Not like they should fall apart on their goals and think like, I don't want to study anymore. Every time when the students go in higher educations, we face this in our country, that they feel like, no, I don't want to be a pilot anymore. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I need to study so much. The study must be so much enjoyable, and that they should always feel that hunger in their mind, that they want to be a doctor and they want to know more, and that willpower should be there in the students, and that should be ensured by the teachers. Every teacher should have the quality, even if they are not in that area, to motivate the students to work on their willpower. After that, instills the vision that will enable one to become self-motivating agent of social change and serving the best interests of the community. Every student is the basic, very basic part of the society, of the community. When a student becomes very bright in their student life, that is a proud moment for the parents. That is the proud moment for the families, and a lot of family makes up the society, and thus the community. So not only one student, in a school there are many students, and they are linked with different families. So if the willpower, the vision is straight in the one side, and they can grow their ability into themselves, they can grow bright in the future, that actually initiates the change in the society and the community. Moving on to the next slide. Implementing quality practice. So I would like to say that just one thing, that a smile is a curve that sets everything straight. We should not be such a strict teacher that we would be lecturing things to the students, they would engulf it into themselves and then go on. The cheer up mind, that cheerfulness should always be there. Yes, this is a curve, but that actually sets everything straight. When a teacher enters into this classroom, when the teacher gives a beautiful smile, it works as an ice-breaking session. The first ice-breaking session. A class is supposed to be expected as a serious one, maybe, especially in the challenging subjects that they feel hard, because we always experienced some subjects to be hard ones, some subjects to be easier individually. So when in every subject the teacher comes and gives a beautiful smile, that works as an ice-breaking session. A teacher must have that quality to have that ice-breaking session, and that is not only when they enter into the class. In every class, sometimes in some topics when they teach the students can become bored in the middle of the lecture. And we should have, as a teacher, have that quality that we can cheer them up at that moment as well. So the ice-breaking session must be there when it is needed, and the teacher should always have the quality to cheer up the students. Maybe someday the plan of the teacher might not get fulfilled, that I could not fulfill the plan, that I wasn't able to give whatever I wanted to give the students according to the planning. But that's okay. If they are taking a little less one day, just make sure that they are taking it. They are not, the things are not going over their heads. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so school services must be generated through an integration of teachers, students, guardians, and society. A school does not is not limited to the teachers and the students only. It's a combination of teachers, students, and their guardians, and the society, as I already said before. Next slide. So this is the one thing I wanted to explain. Actually, Shinkansen speed. This is a train, the fastest train of the world, and it's made in Japan. This train is actually made in a way, usually in trains, the main engine happens to be at the front compartment, and the other compartments are taken by the front compartment where the main engine is there. So from the first compartment, every other compartments are taken away. So these, according to the main machine's speed capacity, the other compartments goes with the capacity. But in this train, every other compartment has the ability to drive. They all drive in the same speed, which is why this is the fastest train of the world. So, how is it relatable with the teachers? There might be teachers who, every person happens to be in different qualities, but they do not have everyone has their specific way of teaching. But the pace, the way they teach, they should be interesting in their way. If every teachers are interesting to the students and they go with the same pace, students are bound to progress. That is the concept that I wanted to relate here. And another thing, as an ice breaking, one of our ma'am just said about story of Einstein. So I want to add another one. Like there was one time when my students said that, ma'am, yesterday's class was so boring, but today's class, we feel like it just 10 minutes class. How come this class went on so quickly? So in terms of that, then I told them another story about Einstein. There was a student of Einstein who wanted to know about the time contraction and time expansion. These are the two terms of physics, and the question is, how can time be expanded and how can time be contracted? If it's 1 hour, 60 minutes takes 1 hour, so it cannot be expanded or contracted. 1 hour is 1 hour, so how can it be contracted or expanded? So Einstein, on the first day, he asked the students to sit in his house for 2 hours. So the students sat there. Einstein said, you sit here, I'm coming. Just give me some time. All right. So the students sitting there, nothing happening, time is going on. 1 hour and the second hour. After the second hour, Einstein returns. The student, out of honor, the student did not say anything, but Einstein says, "It's your work is done today, you can go home." The student doesn't say anything, but in the mind of the student, he had the question, what did he learn? So he went on. After the next day, Einstein again asked the student to sit down in his room and says that, "I'm coming, you learn." The student stays there, sits in the room. Einstein again comes after 2 hours and says, "Your work is done today." The student is again in question, what happened? What did I learn? And then he again, out of honor, returns back to his house. On the third day, the student comes again. So now Einstein says, "You have a seat? I'm coming." After some time, he sends a lady there and with some snacks and asks the lady to have a chit chat with his students. The student starts talking to the lady, and within a short period of time, Einstein comes back and says, "You have finished your work, you can now go, and I think now you understand your concept." The student is again in question, what did he learn and how come this time is 2 hours? The student asked this Einstein, "Sir, 2 hours, is it already finished?" "Yes, it's already finished." "Now you understand what's time expansion." On the 3 consecutive days, the student passed 2 hours every day. In the first 2 days, the student felt very bored. The time was not going. He was staying there alone. But on the 3rd day, when the lady came to him, he had a fruitful session, like he had been talking with this lady. Whatever the students was talking, he felt interesting. The 2 hours felt like half an hour maybe 10 minutes. It depends on the student's interest, but the original time was 2 hours. So the board time is the time expansion. 2 hours felt like the whole day. And the interesting time is the time contraction. The 2 hours felt like very small amount of time according to his interest. So after I said this story to my students, the outcome was like, they were very pleased. Every other day when I enter into the class, every day they asked me to tell a story. Every day they complete their task before at least 10 minutes. And this is what, the outcome I got as a teacher within these 5 months of teaching period. So after moving on to the next slide.
Let's clap for the storytelling.
Thank you so much. Here is our schools, all the teachers having a board meeting. At that time this picture was taken and I used it as a thank you slide. Thank you so much and good luck everyone. I have learned a lot from everyone here. Thank you so much.